I think relocating to come and live with my mother in the Northern Cape actually changed my life because this is where I actually first drafted my first CV. I'm a person who didn't know about solar energy. You should never let your situation determine where you can be in future. You should be willing to take risks and face challenges.
Hi there, my name is Wandile Njingila.
I'm Nolukanyo Mpisani.
From Climate Action, we are bringing the next generation of leaders into the spotlight,
where young voices light up the future. This is Youth in Energy Conversations. Let's spark the conversation.
Welcome to another episode of Youth in Energy Conversations, the podcast that gives young people in Africa a voice shaping the future of energy.
Today's episode, we're diving into a powerful story of determination and grit. We're talking about what it means to break into the energy sector without a formal qualification. And trust me, our guest today proves it's not only possible, but impactful.
Whether you're studying, working, or trying to figure things out, this conversation is for anyone who's passionate about energy but doesn't necessarily follow the traditional path. Our guest today is one of the people who did exactly that. Zuki, welcome, and please introduce yourself and tell us more about you.
Good day, everyone. I'm from Cape Town, but I decided to relocate to live with my mother in the Northern Cape. Born in Cape Town, raised in Cape Town, did my high school life in Cape Town. It's actually been about 4 years now since I've relocated in the Northern Cape.
What sparked your interest to join the energy space?
To be honest, I'm the type of guy who actually wasted 3 years of his life after high school doing nothing. I think relocating here to the Northern Cape actually changed my life. And I'm a person who is to engage on new things and new adventures. So when I heard about energy learnership that being introduced in our rural area, I decided to participate. Luckily, without a degree, we were trained by the DLO Renewable Energy, where we were given a training for about 3 months, and we studied the introduction of solar energy and solar power. After finishing the learnership, we were graduated and offered certificates for finishing the course.
What did you learn in the learnership? What kind of skills would you say you walked away with from the learnership?
As I've said, I'm a person who likes joining new adventures. I'm a person who actually didn't know about solar energy. So the learnership actually offered us the understanding of how energy is generated. We also introduced to the installation of panels and maintaining your panels if you're someone who wants to have solar panels for your house. So that's what actually caught my attention and made that learnership very interesting for us.
So, would you say now, if we call upon you to service panels, you'll be able to service the solar panels?
Of course, today as we speak, I think that certificate offered us actually made an impact in my life because now I'm working for a solar company, which is actually owned by the Chinese, but it's a new site here in TR. It's under Total Energies and Power China. So it's been 3 months now I've been working in that solar energy company. So I think that's a big W for me.
What do you think was some of the challenges you faced when entering the industry? From entering to you learning about the solar to trying to secure a job post now the learnership.
The challenges we faced was the capacity building where we were attending the learnership. It was a small place, but it was very nice and simple for us. And transport was the other challenges. Some days can be cold and some days can be hot. So we actually, some of us used to walk in order to get to town to attend the classes. But yeah, all in all, our facilitator was very thoroughly and very understanding with us. So yeah, we managed to pull up
When you say walk, what distance were you walking?
the township to the local town. It's not that far. When it's cold, then you get tired. You sometimes feel like not coming to class. But yeah, we managed.
I can imagine. And then have you ever felt necessarily when you started like working after the whole training process and graduating, have you ever felt underestimated because you took a non-traditional path?
Yeah, actually, because I feel like with the certificates and learnings from that learnership to where I am right now, being a general worker, which is not something that I'm complaining for. But yeah, it's actually also a new adventure because today was very exciting for me because we, at my working place, we finished with the installation from the ground. We now are starting what I learned on the learnership, which is the installation of the actual panels. That's quite interesting.
That's amazing because now you get to implement the theory into something practical and you can see yourself growing in this space. What advice would you give to young people trying to break into the industry without a formal education?
My advice to other youngsters out there is that you should never let your situation determine where you can be in future. You should be a person who is willing to take risks, face challenges, and just do anything life throws at you. Try not to back down. Joining new adventures is interesting because it gives you more knowledge and skills you can use in the future.
Where do you see yourself in the future?
Wow, that's a big one. I see myself owning a solar farm, a solar farm, which is can be very generatable in the rural areas, whereas we can save more electricity and use renewable power for our households. A certain amount of money where I can buy land and material to have my own solar farm.
And I think it would be nice for people in immediate communities to have their own solar farm to see what the solar thing is. Because with many people, they hear solar, you haven't really seen it. Do you think South Africa's energy sector is becoming more accessible to people that don't necessarily have degrees?
I think South Africa's economy in the renewable world is getting there because on my research, we were given a research assessment task while I was with the DLO Energy training. We had to talk about how South Africa is coming introduced to the solar world. So I think we're getting there with China because China is number one. Then I think the US follows. So South Africa is getting there.
How do you view the current state as you're saying that China is number one and South Africa is following that route? How do you view South Africa's energy sector and where do you see the biggest opportunities, especially for young professionals entering the industry with no formal qualification or degrees?
Answering your question, I wouldn't actually say where in South Africa exactly, but I can answer from where I'm from right now. In the Northern Cape, we have about three or four, if I'm not mistaken, solar sites. Where I'm currently working is the new second biggest site,
Yeah.
which is being which is installing these solar panels. What's better about the site I'm working on right now is that our panels attracting energy from the sun wh- when the sun rises and it totally rotates to when the sun goes down. So that's how it will be more beneficial and benefit us as a community. I think GLO, the learnership that I was pursuing, should also introduce this to other places as well, whereas they can share the knowledge that I have to youngsters and youngsters take more responsibility on learning about the renewable energy as the source of saving electricity.
As a young person in the energy space, what would you like to see happening to make more space for young people? How do you think you, in particular, can contribute to the energy space?
I think more learners should be introduced to youngsters who are interested. I can try facilitating, but alongside another facilitator to introduce this knowledge to other youngsters as well.
I think what is interesting with you is you are based in the Northern Cape, where, like you were saying, there are a few solar farms. So, working within your community, you didn't have to necessarily leave the Northern Cape to enter the energy space. Most people would say you have to migrate to find a job. The nice thing with your story is that it's within your community and you are seeing the impact it's having upon your community. It's not common for us to hear the stories of people that live in other provinces. It's refreshing to hear your story and how you are seeing these solar farms being built from start to finish.
I like the fact that also the determination, as much as you have received the knowledge and training from DLO, you also want to share it to other young people. That is very inspiring to me. And so here we have a little game that we play, right? No pressure. It's a little game. We call it the lightning moment game. So basically, what I do is ask you a few rapid questions, and you have to respond with the first thing that comes into mind, right? Yes.
Okay, let's try.
Yeah. So, what's the most underrated skill in the energy sector, according to you?
The cabling and maintaining the solar panel,
All right.
because that's the very important skill to have.
True. What has been the most powerful moment in your journey in the energy space?
Being introduced to solar energy, because I had no clue about solar panels. I just saw them as a source of renewable energy, but learning more about them gave me more insightful knowledge.
So, if you had to describe the youth of Africa in one word, what would it be?
We are the generational cost breakers.
Amen to that. What's your personal motto in one sentence? Never let your
Yep, that's
background. I love it. It doesn't determine you, doesn't define you. I like that. Thank you so much for your time. Really enjoyed this.
When you were in Cape Town, did you know of the energy space or anything related to the energy space?
as I've mentioned. After finishing my trek, I absolutely wasted 3 years of my life doing absolutely nothing. You know how toxic Cape Town is. So I think relocating to come and live with my mother in the Northern Cape actually changed my life, because this is where I actually first drafted my first CV and started looking for a job. So being here in the Northern Cape, I also participated in working with NPOs where I met up with relevant stakeholders, and I even participated in a website development program where I was certified for website designing. I am currently a certified website designer, as well as all my other certificates I've done throughout the work I've done here while I've started living in the Northern Cape. Yeah,
That's wonderful. So you kept building and kept building.
until to where I am right now.
No, that's really nice to hear. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I think your story is a reminder that the path in the energy space doesn't look one way. It's a reminder that your background does not determine where you're going. It doesn't define you.
Exactly.
Thank you, Zukisani, for sharing your journey with us.
That's a wrap on today's episode. Don't forget to follow, share, and leave a review.
Until next time, stay connected and keep it real. This is Youth in Energy Conversations.